The following episode of The Cards Court was recorded on Monday, November 20th. The Cards Court is a presentation of SportsLink Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. Chirp, chirp, and go Cards!
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of The Cards Court, the number one weekly Ball State basketball show in the world. I'm your host, Griffin Leonard. Joining me this week as my co-host is unfortunately no one, but that's okay, because joining us later on the show will be two outstanding guests in Gus Martin, the Muncie Star Press reporter and writer, as well as Ball State women's basketball player Becki. With that, the court is now in session. This week, the Ball State basketball teams took to the court 2 times each. On Tuesday, with both sides winning matchups, the women's team on the road at Chicago State, they got the job done 85-56. And then the men's basketball team took on NAIA school Oakland City right here in Muncie and got the job done 92-51. Then we moved to Saturday, where the women's team had a huge non-conference win over the Northern Iowa Panthers. They got the job done there 75-64. And then unfortunately, the men's basketball team dropped their first game of the season on Saturday with a tough loss on the road to Evansville. Looking at the women's basketball score from Saturday, a couple of names stood out in that game. We talked to Domley County last week, and he gave us a scouting report on UNI, and he didn't miss the mark. Grace Buffelli, 24 points in 35 minutes, leading UNI, and she almost single-handedly won them that game. Her along with Shatia Wettering, they both had an outstanding performance, but it wasn't enough to beat the Cardinals. Nyla Hampton, with an incredible performance, 19 points. She hit her first, second, and third three-pointers in a Cardinal uniform on Saturday, and along with that, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Madeline Bischoff also had a stellar game, 5 made baskets, 5 three-pointers. She finished with 18. On the men's side, the Evansville game left a little bit to be desired, but at the end of the day, it's a long season and a ton of time for the Cardinals to right their wrongs. In the first half, it was neck and neck. Neither team really got it going from the floor. Evansville led 30-27 at halftime, but the second half was where Evansville really took over. They outscored the Cardinals 44-23 and ended up taking the game by 24. Bashir Jihad, the lone bright spot for the Cardinals on offense, 21 points, 8 rebounds. And then Davion Bailey following him up, 7 points and 5 rebounds. Jalen Anderson has started the season outstanding. He's going to need to improve, just 4 points on 1 for 12 shooting in that game against Evansville. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we will have guest Gus Martin from the Muncie Star Press. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after the break here on the Cards Court, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie.
Hi, I'm Chris Taylor, Senior Director of Digital Sports Production and Ball State SportsLink, the nation's first 4-year academic digital sports production program. It's the intersection of sports and storytelling, where we're training the next generation of digital content producers. It's truly unique because a lot of schools have sports broadcasting and sports journalism, and while we have elements of both of those, our focus is on the sports media production and the behind-the-scenes work. And I think that's what separates us at Ball State, because a lot of schools will teach students to learn production or live event streaming, but we're teaching storytelling. And that is producing long-form, layered feature stories where we can humanize our student athletes and our coaches and tell the story as to why they're playing their sport at Ball State. Anyone can produce or edit things that are flashy and look good, but can you tell a story? And at Ball State, I think we really teach that, and the success is evident.
Welcome back to the Cards Court. I'm your host, Griffin Leonard. Alongside me now is Muncie Star Press reporter and writer Gus Martin. Gus, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure to be here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, the seasons are off to a good start. I know you do a lot for, not necessarily for the teams, but you cover the teams quite a bit behind the scenes. Could you kind of just tell our audience like what you do and how you got started with it?
Yeah, so about a year ago almost now, Robbie General used to cover Ball State exclusively for the Star Press, and I was the high school sports guy. And then he went on to do a bit of a career shift and move back closer to his home in Chicago. And naturally, I kind of envisioned stepping into the Ball State coverage role. I ended up starting that, I guess, last January. Rode the men's and women's basketball teams, into their postseasons and everything. But then, we've, with the paper and just kind of the industry has kind of been a little bit of a shift, and they haven't, they had to do more with less. And my role has kind of shifted to doing both Ball State and high school coverage at the same time. So it kind of limits what I can do for Ball State compared to what I was doing in the spring, but I'm still actively following them, and obviously, been covering every football game and starting to do some stuff with basketball as well. So I'm very busy, but I try to do the best job I can.
Yeah, I've noticed you cover the high school sports as well, and it's not like you're covering just one school. You're covering a multitude of schools around the area. How do you balance that workload, and I guess how do you prioritize if you got a Ball State game one night and a sectional final in the other? How do you manage it?
Well, obviously with having this responsibility sort of thing, and for a while there I also was doing it all editing stuff on my own. Like we kind of recently had a shift to where I have like a regional guy who oversees several Indiana publications, but for a while I was kind of really diving into the numbers that we do. And for around here, it seems like people really gravitate to high school sports, especially big games. So I will generally tend to favor a big high school game rather than like a normal Ball State basketball game or something. Obviously, it kind of just depends on circumstances and schedules, but I think for football, especially like where it's one game a week, you're going to really want to hit the Friday night and Saturday night. And if you have to miss something on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, so be it.
Now you're not from around here. How did you find your way to Muncie? And I guess why this area?
I get asked that question a lot because I tell people I'm from New Jersey, which I am. I grew up there and I went to University of Maryland. But, when I graduated in 2020, I guess it was just not a lot of sports jobs available. I had done a lot of stuff for the student newspaper there. I had some internships, kind of playing catch up in the back half of my college career because the first half was mostly spending time with my fraternity friends and all that stuff, being immature. But I was really kind of just desperate to start my career. You get kind of nervous in this industry that's not like extremely opportunistic, especially like I said, when you don't have as much experience as some of your peers. So I kind of had to expand the radius of where I was willing to work. And luckily, Gannett, which is the media corporation that owns USA Today and then several papers in Indiana and around the country, that are more local ones. I had interned at USA Today my senior year of college, and I guess that kind of gave me a little bit of a connection to the first publication I worked at down in Richmond, Indiana, called the Palladium Item, and worked there for just under a year before the high school sports job opened up here in Muncie. And they're kind of sister papers, and we were run by the same editor at the time. So I kind of just, it was an easy transition, and then have been here, for 2 years now.
Walk me through kind of like your day to day. So like, let's say you've got a 7:00 football game. How do you prepare for that? What are you doing during the game? And then I guess how late are you up that night, getting your story done for the next day?
Are we talking high school or Ball State football?
Let's do Ball State football.
So, Ball State's typically been playing at 2 p.m. So how it has been is on Fridays I'm doing high school, and then I'll be at that game, and then I'm working to do a rundown that night, either myself or through a freelancer that I hire. And then I may either be doing the rundown or writing a feature myself from the game I attended. And I'll usually be up till like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, because I also got to put together all the photos. I got to put together the highlight video that I shot from the game, and just do all that stuff. And then so I'll sleep in on Saturday morning, unless I have to finish my story, which I didn't get to. And then for Ball State football, I've generally done the preparation just throughout the week, so I don't have to do anything that much that day before the game. A lot of prep that we do is, preceding our Monday press conference that we talk about the opponent and everything. And then I'll try, people make fun of me. I get to the game a little bit later than maybe people think I should. And then during the game, I'm taking pretty frantic notes. I've tried to streamline it a little bit to where I'm not doing a play-by-play, but I try to do key takeaways, key observations, write down post-game questions I have. I'll bold like key moments during the game just to kind of how I have like a beat if I need to refer back to something through a story. And then now I actually have to have sort of a game, not quite a gamer, but it's more like a what we learned kind of thing done ideally by the time before I go to the post-game press conference that I can submit and get that up, because the faster you get it up, it's probably going to do better online. So it's pretty hectic. And then you go to the post-game presser, do that. I might add quotes to my story. And then I had been doing follow-ups and pregame previews, but since the crossover between fall and winter sports got me so busy, I kind of had to cut down what I was doing. But yeah, Friday, Saturday nights have been really crazy the last like 2 months, 3 months. I'm looking forward to holiday breaks.
Yeah, well, as a fellow member of the media, I've had a few of those 3 a.m., 4 a.m. nights, and they aren't fun. I guess it's a good thing we're taping this in the late afternoon where we're both fully awake. But
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here on the Cards Court. When we get back, I'll talk more with Gus about how the teams are doing on the court, and we'll see if we can preview some of the upcoming games, a couple of big games this week in Ball State basketball, and we'll hit you with those on the other side of this break. You're listening to the Cards Court on the SL Digital Radio Network, presented by Victory Honda Muncie.
During the spring of 2020, 12 students from Ball State University travelled to Cardiff, Wales. A partnership forged about education, collaboration, opportunity, and engagement.
Welcome to Cardiff.
Please welcome the home team, Cymru, Wales.
So this Ball State Cardiff Met partnership is just brilliant to bring people together across the pond with a shared love of sport and a shared love of storytelling and filmmaking and a sort of creative passion. It's been brilliant to see from a staff perspective and a student's perspective.
Produced by the creative storytellers in Ball State Sports Link. This is Transatlantic Storytelling 2020. For more information, visit transatlanticstorytelling.com.
Welcome back to the Cards Court. I'm Griffin Leonard alongside Gus Martin here this afternoon. And Gus, looking at these last few matchups for the men's and women's basketball teams, they were undefeated going into the week. One of those teams is still undefeated, but unfortunately Ball State men's basketball dropped their first game of the season on Saturday at Evansville. And at least from my perspective, I wasn't actively watching the game because I was at football at the time, and I believe you were too. Mm-hmm. But close game at halftime, and the team just kind of fell flat coming out in the second half.
Yeah, I was kind of keeping track of it during the football game as well. And, then I look at it and there's like, I don't know what the run was coming out into the second half, but it was very substantial in Evansville's favor. Yeah, I mean, look, I think everyone was kind of expecting a letdown from this young team at some point, especially, you get a great win against Old Dominion, which is a quality team, more veteran-laden, very athletic. There's probably going to be the inverse of that coming sooner or later, and that ended up happening on the road, another factor that young team kind of needed to prepare for. I believe that was their first road game of the season as well. It made sense to me. Turnovers were really bad. Jalen Anderson wasn't there to save them this time. And I know Coach Lewis was even upset with the way they played in the previous victory against Oakland City. So, I suppose it's a bit of a downward trend right now. And, they're going to need to right the ship. But it's going to be those learning lessons with the young team, with the freshmen they're playing, with all the new pieces that they have after losing their top 4 scorers from last season. It's not going to be undefeated. I think they were kind of due for a game like that.
You mentioned Jalen Anderson. He had excelled at the first couple of games of the season here in Muncie on Saturday, just 4 points, 1 for 12 from the floor. I guess as far as his individual performance, but more just the team's performance, how do they respond this week?
Well, Lewis last year, I think, did a good job of making his guys sort of resilient. I can recall that Buffalo loss that they had where they got just absolutely smoked, where they down like 20-0 to start the game. And then they came back and, didn't let it carry over to the next time. I think he and his staff have proven, at least last year, they were good at kind of flushing it and moving on. But for young guys, that might just be a learning experience, might be a challenge. I mean, their schedule, non-conference, is obviously not extremely formidable, and I think that's by design because he wants to get these young guys playing time. He doesn't want to have to, like in the Old Dominion game, rely on the veterans he has to win every single night. And I think, USC Upstate Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Little Rock, like, those are opportunities where they can bounce back and regain that confidence and not have it spiral out of control. I think that's just going to take focus. And I think this team does have some veterans that are, they've gone through the lulls of the season to where they can help the younger guys kind of overcome that.
Yeah, looking at this next week, we'll talk women's basketball here in a second, but looking at the men's team, you mentioned USC Upstate, Arkansas Pine Bluff, very winnable games at home. I'm sure they've still got some home confidence. Who's one player on the men's team that you're looking to really step up in these two games? And then just overall, what's one takeaway from the last week with Oakland City, even though they won that game, and then here against Evansville that they can improve on as a team going in?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see what Zane Doughty can do. It definitely seems like he's still kind of working his way back into, I don't know if it's game shape or just rhythm or just feeling confident in his foot after that stress fracture surgery he had to put the titanium screw in. And look, when you're a big guy, those kind of injuries can take time, and you don't want to rush it because feet and big men is always a bad combination in basketball sometimes. I'd like to just see him show progression. It doesn't seem like he's getting a ton of opportunities or minutes just yet, and they really need him because Bashir Jihad, for as good I think of outside big man as he can be shooting, he definitely has some skills. I don't think he can be consistently relied upon to be like a true paint presence on either end of the floor. I believe in Evansville they were really out rebounded and outscored in the paint, and that was similar in Old Dominion too, where they were just kind of getting to the rim at will. So they're going to need Zane to be a big body in there and maybe take on a bigger load as he kind of gets his body right and just gains overall experience. And then I just turnovers and offense, that was a issue at points last year. Taking care of the ball is always something that Lewis preaches, being a former point guard that he was. And I don't know the final total they had at Evansville, but I think it might have been like 17 turnovers or something like that. And Bashir, I believe, had 6. That can't happen from your big guy, let alone the team overall. And, you're not going to win games when you're not shooting well and you're turning the ball over. So if they can at least eliminate one of those problems, they should be just okay moving forward.
Yeah, looking at the women's team, I know you told me prior to the show that you primarily cover the men's side, but the women have a huge game, to say the least, on Friday. It's been 9 years since they've beaten a ranked team, and they've got an opportunity to not just do that, but do that against an in-state rival here in Muncie. Huge stage for these players to really set the world on fire, put the college basketball world on notice. What are your thoughts going into that game against Notre Dame?
Yeah, this women's team, last year they were so fun to watch. I do have a background covering women's basketball because that was my beat at University of Maryland student newspaper, the Diamondback. And, so last year it was really fun for me to also cover a cool and good college basketball women's team. And, yeah, this team I think is actually at least potential to be better than last year for as good as they were. Now, they may not have an Anna Clefane, but I think they're more diverse on both ends of the floor. I mean, the transfer from Bowling Green, who's the reigning MAC Defensive Player of the Year, Nyla Hampton, I mean, she's just dynamite. Like, she's just an electricity on the court. They didn't have that kind of defender, that kind of athleticism last year, and she can take pressure off of Becki handling the ball and creating offense, which they also didn't have last year. And, you don't want to just be one-dimensional in that way. And then Madeline Bischoff, we kind of expected her to take more of a scoring role. She's going to have more threes with Thelma, this August daughter, not there anymore, and she's certainly delivered thus far. I mean, she'll cool down at some point, but if she can be more consistent shooting the ball, they're going to be a really dynamic on both ends. Notre Dame, though, I mean, look, I don't know if I'm expecting them to win, but I think they can at least be competitive, and that's all you kind of really want from a MAC team. I believe Ball State is the 6th ranked, mid-major team
mid-major,
in the country. So on any given night, I think they can compete with most teams, and I think if they even lose a close one against Notre Dame, that would be a really, really positive indication for how the season could be.
They've got a chance to do something special, that's for sure. And for more on that, first we're going to go to a break, but after that we'll turn over to Becki. I sat down and talked to her over at Worthen Arena. and we're going to hear what she has to say, how the team's been preparing, and how much she's looking forward to that chance to really shine in the spotlight. But we're going to take a break here on the Cards Court. A big thank you to Gus Martin for coming in this afternoon, and we'll be back on the other side of the break. This is the Cards Court presented by Victory Honda Muncie.
Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership, and here's why. We stand behind every car we sell and are dedicated to helping our customers save time and money. All our pre-owned cars undergo a rigorous 182-point inspection and come with a 90-day warranty to ensure that you're getting a Victory quality vehicle. Plus, you'll get 2 years of complimentary oil changes and tire rotations. We're part of a top 15 dealership group and have an enormous selection of vehicles with access to inventory at over 45 locations. You always get more for your trade and the best possible rates with us. We have an excellent relationship with hundreds of lenders. Our exclusive Car Doc maintenance and membership program will help you save hundreds of dollars in the process of maintaining your vehicle. Lastly, our state-of-the-art body shop and certified technicians perform high-quality repairs and paintwork on most vehicle makes and models. Victory Honda of Muncie. We're not just another car dealership.
Welcome back to the Cards Court. I'm Griffin Leonard, and here from Worthen Arena, we have a special guest in women's basketball player Allie Becki. Allie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Allie, the season has gotten off to a good start. 4-0 at the moment, trying to make it 5 and potentially even 6-0. What's gone into the preparation so far this season, and how are you progressing your game individually?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked a lot on our press, and especially the presence of Nyla, having her and being able to press the ball more. I feel like that's helped us a lot in the defensive end because we won't let the offense set up. So with that, we're getting a lot of points off of that. And I think just working our offense and trying to find, I mean, it's kind of the same team, kind of not this year. We're having a couple more players play more. So, I mean, just like getting to know their strengths more and playing together. And, and then individually, I just trying to be a teammate for my team and trying to get the ball to them. And if my shots aren't falling, and trying to do something else other than just shooting and trying to create for others.
There were a couple question marks coming into the season of how the team is going to fill the gaps left by Anna Clefane and Thelma DeSaugusdaughter. I think you guys have responded well to that difficulty, and obviously the bringing in Nyla helped, and now you're rotating, I guess, 2 of your more traditional bigs in the starting lineup. Looking at this last game in particular against Northern Iowa, it was a big non-conference game coming in. I think the mid-major poll had you guys 6 and 8. What went into the preparation for that game? And I know we got the win, but are you satisfied with the result? Would you have wanted more?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to win against a team like that, especially I think they're were voted to win their league. So I mean they were a good team, and I know one of their players was out, so I mean it was also beneficial to us. But I mean some of us I was fighting a sickness the other day. I was throwing up, so I missed a couple of days of scout. But I mean my teammates helped me out, the coaches helped me out, get back out there, and when I was feeling down, like we had Honda Mule step up on the court and just give it all, and just like be a good teammate and give good minutes. And so I mean seeing that and seeing what we're capable of is awesome to see, especially this time in the year.
It sounds like you had a little bit of a rough weekend, and then in the second quarter you took quite a shot. Grace Buffelli, a heck of a player, she drove through the lane and drove right through you. I know you didn't play for the rest of the first half, but you came back in. Are you back to 100%, or is there still some work to be done there?
Oh, no, I feel good now. It was just a rough couple of days. I had some sickness, I don't know, and then just getting hit. I mean, I don't know. It's whatever. It's part of life. It's part of basketball, and it's exciting. It's not exciting, but it tests me and tests my teammates too to see like how tough we are. And I think it showed kind of in that Northern Iowa game, just to see like a bunch of us were tired, and just to see like us fighting through that and be able to get that win is awesome.
Well, and I think the physical aspect of like how you guys play the game and the speed which you take it, like you're built to take some of those shots, and I think as the season goes on, we're going to see more of what you guys are capable of, both on the fast break and just firm and strong and making big defensive plays. How big of a how big is the, I guess, how much does Coach Brady stress that in practice about being the more physical team, being the strongest, being the fastest team out there?
Yeah, I mean, before games, he's always, especially on our home court, he's like, no one's going to out-tough us on our home court. Like, we take that to heart, and again, like, you don't want to get shown up by someone on your home court. Like, that's just, it's not what we do around here. And at every practice, we don't stop until we hear a whistle. Like, so yeah, he just kind of puts that kind of toughness on us, and wants us to succeed in that way, and like have stuff like that happen in the games, and just and make it like see it in real game life play. Yeah.
Looking at this week, a couple of opportunities to get a couple of big wins against some in-state rivals. Are you excited for that slate of games?
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's always an exciting game. I mean, I've been watching their games, and they have a new freshman, and she's insane. I mean, she looks really good, and if Olivia Ma comes back, that's going to be even more harder. But, I mean, they're a great team, and, again, IUPUI is a good team. I mean, it's just it's exciting to play these teams and to see where we're at as a team, especially now.
That Notre Dame game in particular, it's been 10 years since Ball State women's basketball has beaten a ranked opponent. It's a chance to not just have another home win in front of this great home crowd, but a chance to really put not just Indiana as a state, but the whole college basketball world on notice. Going into that game, do you change anything, or do you just play your style of basketball the whole way through?
Yeah, no, we just play our game, and we play the style that we are, like what we are, and I know Brady's going to get us prepared, and whoever has scout that game, they're going to make us more prepared. And I mean, it's just the same way we go about if we're playing someone like Trine, you know. I mean, not to knock them or anything, it's just, you know. But yeah, so yeah.
What is one thing in your individual game that you're looking to really push to the forefront in these two games compared to the beginning of the season?
I would say just more scoring opportunity for me, just to not necessarily take a lot of more shots, but just to see more opportunities for me. So potentially, instead of passing up a shot, I'll take it for myself, and hopefully that will get the ball rolling for a bunch of us, and just I don't know, teammates will be happy, everyone's gonna be happy. So it's just it's exciting just to see like the ball go in the hoop. I mean, people are in slumps all the time, so having that and just hitting a good shot and having your teammates be there for you is good to see.
Well, we're going to take a break here on the Cards Court, but Allie, thank you for being on. I know we'd love to have you in the studio in Letterman at some point during the season, but thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll take a break on here on the Cards Court. When we get back, we'll hit you with PBP's keys and send you on your way. This is the Thanksgiving week episode of the Cards Court right here on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie.
Every road has its challenges. We say, bring them on. At Honda, we engineer each vehicle to outthink obstacles, to overcome difficult conditions. We engineer them for drivers who are determined to power through, just like you are. Rise to the challenge with the rugged performance of the Honda Passport, Pilot, and CR-V.
Welcome back to the Cards Court. I'm your host, Griffin Leonard. Another big thank you to our two guests this afternoon, Gus Martin and Allie Becki. Let's take a look at PBP's keys for this week with me, PBP. 3 keys for these basketball teams to unlock in order to get the job done in this week's slate of games. For men's basketball, we'll start it off. They got to play the full 40. They really, in that Evansville game, it was a decent first half, but they came out flat in the second half. Evansville went on a run, and the Cardinals never had a response. If the Cardinals really want to get it done this week, they've got 2 opportunities to do so, but at home, they're going to have to get the job done. They're going to have to back the crowd and get a full 40 minutes of basketball. For the women's basketball team, we got to start seeing Maddie Bischoff open up the floor more. She has been shooting lights out, but at the end of the day, just doesn't have consistent looks. I know Brady Solis said in his press conference after the win Saturday that they don't draw up specific plays to open up Bischoff. It was the same with Telma DeSagasdaughter last season. She freed herself up. They weren't drawing up plays specifically for her most of the time. But with that being said, if the Cardinals really want to completely unlock this offense and their capabilities, you got to find a way to free up Maddie. She has been playing lights out. And then our third key this afternoon for both teams, you just got to play your style of basketball. At the end of the day, both of these teams have defined styles, and for the women specifically, this Notre Dame game on Friday is going to be stellar. I can't wait, but for the Cardinals to be able to hang with the Fighting Irish, they got to be able to settle in and play their game. They can't confine to what Notre Dame's trying to force them to do. If Ball State can play their game of basketball for all 4 quarters, I give them a legit shot at winning that game. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. 4 exciting matchups await the Cardinals. Ball State men's basketball hosts USC Upstate at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, with Isaiah Rosner and Devin Pote on the call. And then on Wednesday, the women's squad looks to keep their undefeated record intact when they travel to in-state rival IUPUI. Finally, Worthen Arena plays host to its first doubleheader of the season when both teams go at it on Black Friday. The men take on Arkansas Pine Bluff at 2 p.m. with Evan Stowell and Max Gilley on the call, before women's hoops welcome the Fighting Irish and Notre Dame into town at 5. The Cards look for their first ranked win since 2014, and you can catch that game right here on SL Digital Radio with Sam Niger and Landon Traylor on the call to kickstart your weekend. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Cards Court. Don't forget to tune in next week when we talk to the head honcho, athletic director Jeff Mitchell, about the teams and what he's trying to do in his first full season as the athletic director here at Ball State University. But until then, for our guests Gus Martin and Allie Becki, I'm Griffin Leonard, signing off. The court is adjourned.
The Cards Court is hosted and produced by Griffin Leonard. Be sure to follow BSU Sports Link across social media for the best stories in Ball State sports. The Cards Court has been a production of Ball State Sports Link.